Welcome to New Investors. First thing we're going to do is I have a special announcement. Our Unbus tour, which is February 20th from 10 to 1, is going to be touring 5 rehab properties within 10 miles of Raleigh. We have one spot left. I've disabled the link, so I'm not taking registrations right now. I'm going to make it available to this group. You can't, like, you have to be a single, so because everybody needs their own ticket. So like if you need to go with a spouse or something, that's you can't have it. It's just for one person. I'm going to put the link up here. Or no, I'm not. I'm going to say if you want to go for the member price of $49.99, send me a chat. I will send you the link and I'll go open it back up so you can register, and that's it. Then we're full. And if no one takes it up within the next 5 minutes before we turn over to Andrew, I'll just go open it back up. But I closed it before the meeting. I thought as a special thing for you guys, if anybody here wants it, we'll save it for you. Oh, William Anthony. Okay, done. William, I'm sending you the link right now. Don't go there yet. Wait till I'm done talking so I can flip over and open it up for you. I'll tell you when. Okay, so officially the Unbus tour is sold out. Yay, and it's gonna be awesome. Okay, a couple of other announcements. The mentor program is up and running. Y'all, we're so excited because all this stuff I'm telling you about, we've been working to get to you for like 3 years, and we took a while to get it in place, and then we had some speed bumps, but finally this stuff is all happening now. So we couldn't be happier. Contact Lyle Finley if you need a mentor. He has all his mentors for now, but if you're interested in being a mentor in the future, or if you're interested in a leadership role in TRIA, whether it's becoming a subgroup leader or eventually becoming on the board or just wanting to be a leader in TRIA, help out with things, we have sort of formed this thing called the Brain Trust, which is sort of a proving ground for anyone who wants to sort of move up through the ranks. It's open only to experienced investors, and you have to fill out an application. If you are interested in that, stick me a note in the chat and I'll get you an application. We are also looking for a vendor member coordinator. That's a paid position. We're also looking for vendors. So if you have anyone to recommend to us, your favorite service providers, your favorite bookstore, your favorite hairdresser, your favorite place to buy shoes, your favorite roofer, they are all candidates to be vendor members because all TRIA members need all those things so they can become on our trusted vendor member list and get a lot of business. And we'll pay you a finder's fee if one of them join. So prep in person, prep wholesale, it takes 10 to make that class. We have 9. So as soon as we get one more person for that class, that'll start. It's capped at 20, but it needs 10 to go. So if you've already signed up and you haven't heard from us yet, because I've been meaning to get an email out and I have it, don't fear, you're in there, and we're just waiting on that one last person. Prep, the other prep in person, which is going to be rehab, is going to be a little further down the line. So keep your eye open for that. And then we have prep virtual. Our first one was super successful. It was a step-by-step of how to fill out a purchase contract. I've got a few suggestions for the one coming up in February. I'm trying to narrow it down, but whatever it is, it's going to be great. It's really just taking a basic topic and walking you through it step by step, really hands-on experiential learning instead of just like listening to a presenter. I think that is all of the announcements that I have. So while Leslie's telling you what's coming up, William Anthony, I'm going to go open that Unbus tour spot for you, and I'll tell you as soon as it's done. Go ahead, Les.
Okie dokie. Well, if your smiley face was with us last night, you kind of heard me babble on about what's going on in the events calendar. We got some really cool stuff coming up. Starting Friday with the experienced investors. That's a members only meeting, and Melanie is going to have. Who is she going to have? Anyway. Stephanie. God, the word just went right out of my head. Storage units, yay. Yeah, so it'll be Stacy Rossetti out of Atlanta. So she knows our market pretty well. I think she's been up here trying to source some leads up here. So if you've been thinking about an alternate income source, hey, those things are popping up everywhere. And the new ones kind of outshine the old ones. So a lot of times the old ones just go by the wayside and you can pick them up really cheap. And I'm sorry, people, but those things are licenses to print money. The storage units, everybody's got too much stuff and they need some place to put it. So that's going to be a good one on Friday. And then, of course, going into next week, we've got our main meeting coming up with a really interesting subject on how to help out. This is a really good example of a total win-win-win situation where children are finding they have to move their aging parents into assisted living or, something like that. And then they don't know what the heck to do with the house. So this is a really, really good source of leads that is virtually untapped because most investors are it's kind of like probate. You kind of don't know how to approach the people. But this guy that's joining us, Vincent, on at the main meeting, he has got a whole system about how to approach families of aging parents that have a house that they need to sell and how to help them out and how to help the parents out and then make it a win-win for everybody. So that's going to be really cool on the main meeting. And that's Tuesday, the 16th at 6:30. And then Kathy's already told you about prep. So that'll round out the week. And I have decided, and it's going to be posted up on the calendar tonight, Cash Flow 101. We need a theme song. So if anybody can think of a theme song for like the cash flow game, send it to me, triavp@gmail.com. Send me and I'll try and see if I can find the song. But that's cool. So we're going to start the cash flow game at 6:30. And of course, I think it's a max of 4 players to a room. So depending on how many people we have join up is going to be how many rooms we're going to have to create. So if you've never done cash flow, played it, it's a lot of fun and it's very educational as well. So if you can, I'll send out the link. And there's also a link, you can go on the cash flow game and there's a tutorial on there that you can go through and see how the game is played. So every man for himself, and I'm going to win. And I think that's it. So Andrew, it's all yours, dear.
Right, thank you. Looks like we have a good turnout today. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be a fun one. It's a good take on a common question that new investors have. So I wanted to do something a little bit different. And as a new investor, a big piece that we kind of always want to hear is, how did they get started? How did that successful person start that journey to kick off that success? So today we're going to kind of flip the script. So our presenter, Lionel Finley, he's been a successful full-time investor for about 13 years now, 13 plus years, I believe. So his experience extends from everything from flips to rentals to wholesales. He's doing new builds right now, working commercial. He's the head of the mentorship program. So he's done everything and then everything in between, right? So instead of asking Lionel, how did you get started? I wanted to present it as, Lionel, what if, knowing everything that you know now, you moved like to a new town, you knew absolutely nobody, like all of your success went away. All of your connections are gone. Your businesses are all gone. So now you're a new investor. You have $20,000 in a savings account. How would you start over? How would you maximize that money? Like how would you begin turning the wheels to set up your real estate investing business, right? So I guess without further ado, I haven't seen his slides. I don't know the presentation, so I'm really excited to see where he goes with this. But yeah, so without further ado, Lionel, please, take it away.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that, Andrew. The kind words. I hope I can live up to that. So I appreciate it. Let me go ahead and share this. All right, good to go. Thumbs up. All right, so I put in the chat, if you could, some of you, if you could place in there. I saw a few folks that placed in there how long they've been in real estate or how new you are. I'm just curious. I just want to take a poll, but just a little interactive. And then while I'm going through this, normally I take questions at the end, but if you have questions while I'm talking or speaking, please go ahead and place in the chat. Kathy or Leslie, they normally will stop or something like that. So if you have questions, just place them in the chat and I'll answer your question. So tonight, like Andrew says, it's going to be a little different. I'm going to go through like how I started, how I'll say mucked it up, screwed it up really bad, and then how I sort of overcame that and where I'm at now. So I just want to share some of that because a lot of times most folks, they talk about their successes in real estate, but I'm going to talk about the successes and my screw ups, and I'll take you through that and give you some educational pieces too of some things that's going to help you out in your business. And I will give a disclaimer up front. So I'm going to talk a little bit about partnerships and JV, and I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm talking about my experience. So it's what fits for me. However, it may be something you run into down the road. So let's get into it. All right, so this is me, of course. I always like to talk about the why. So I think that you go into any business that the one thing you should do is put these on so I can see, is talk about, why you're in business, or it's going to drive you. And that definitely drives me with my family. That's the main reason. Then, of course, just having the freedom to do what you want. That's what most people say, but I mean, that's truly what people want, right? So PT and FT, that's part-time, full-time. And I'm not going to read all the stuff here. But one of the things that I do want to highlight is just the coaching and speaking, and that's led me into a little bit of trouble, as you'll see here on a couple of slides. But just want to go through that a little bit and just talk a little bit about me and how I screwed up. I don't know why I just keep switching every time I go to slides. All right, so this is my first deal. My first deal in real estate. I will say my first flip because I picked up 3 rentals before this. But that's while I was in the military. So I really didn't know what I was doing when I picked those up. But, I picked them up and they were down in Fayetteville, which is a pretty good rental market. So I never had a problem with renting those properties out. But this is my first flip that I've ever done in real estate. And so this first bullet point, I know you're probably curious of why I have this up here. But so when I got started in real estate, of course, I went through one of those big national companies, and so 40K, and then I had a 10K upsell. And so basically that left me with no money, right? So Andrew mentioned starting over. So even though this is my first deal, I had to figure out how I was going to be able to fund this deal because I used a hard money lender. So of course I had points on that, and there's money I had to bring to closing. So I had to find out how I was going to get that money because I just gave this company 50 grand, right? So of course I had to use a credit card. That's how I got started. I put on a credit card and I'm like, oh, you know what, right? Because now not only am I getting charged interest on the hard money loan, I'm also getting charged interest on the credit card. And I have to flip this property in a certain amount of time to ensure that the credit card's not eating me up also in addition with the hard money lender. So I had a lot of apprehension going into it. As you can imagine, I was scared about this flip because it was in Andrea, and Andrea is not like at that time like the best market to flip a house and to sell it. But I picked up this deal. I got on MLS, but I went through that deal and I took a whole lot of bumps and bruises. And of course, the first thing is I had bad contractors. Even though I went through this national program, I didn't finish the course. I jumped right into my flip and I started going. But I hired some bad folks, and as you can imagine, my partner at that time, of course, was my wife, and I could hear it all the time, fire, fire, fire that guy. And every week I would give him a chance. He'd show up on Monday, he'd show up on Thursday, Friday, I would stroke a check. That was brand new. I would just give him a check, right? Because that was in my payment schedule. I was going by the schedule, but I was screwing it up so bad and paying this guy money, he wouldn't show up. And it was just a nightmare, a nightmare. Then I hired a second contractor, same problem. Nightmare, nightmare, nightmare. Third guy finally came in and got this thing done. But this is when I actually learned, because you'll see here in a minute, when I start doing value adds. And with this property, I was able to take a storage room and convert that into a master bath to be able to at least sell this house and get a good profit on it. But I ran into every single problem that you can think of. Asbestos, mold. Mind you, once again, this is my first flip. So asbestos, mold, floors that were uneven. It was just a nightmare. But I went through it. In the end, I made 30K. But what I will tell you is that the experience I gained on this house was invaluable. Even though I had bad contractors and I had mold and asbestos and you name it, I had rats in this house. So I had every problem that you can think of, water up on the crawl space. I mean, you just name it, I had it. But it taught me a valuable lesson, and that's hiring the right folks and just getting in there doing it, but doing it the right way. And also just not giving up all your money. I gave up 50 grand just in the beginning. So a lot of people, and I put this on here because, of course, TRIA, and it's not a plug for TRIA, but I've been in TRIA for a while. I was in TRIA, then I left to go do some stuff national, and I came back to TRIA. But I have seen over the years of how much people pay on programs, and that's why I put this in here. So if you're in TRIA, just know that you're getting what I pay for and everybody else pays a lot of money for. So I just want you to know that you're getting that here in TRIA, and that's why I love what's being offered right now, the new program. So definitely take advantage of it, because you won't have to spend what I spent and a few other folks spent. It's not going to help you in the long run to build your business to give up that much equity in your. What is wrong with this thing? Give me 1 second, folks. All right, sorry about that. All right, so I talked and I mentioned that I was in a partnership, and I'm not going to give the gentleman's name, but so I was in a partnership, and I know some folks on here are probably in a partnership, or you may want to JV with people, and that's fine. I still JV, and I will still partner, but it's deal by deal. I don't bring like someone into my business anymore, because it's just not, for me, it's not conducive to running my business the way that I want to run it. So with this gentleman, I actually met him in TRIA, and I met him in TRIA. He wanted to come out to my project. I had him come out to my project. We talked a while, and we didn't have a good, not a bad relationship. We didn't have a relationship at all, but we had to build it. But one of the things that was beneficial, I thought, to our business was that this gentleman's grandfather used to be the mayor of Raleigh, right? So I started thinking like, okay, well, maybe we'll have some contacts with the city, some contacts with just folks in just different neighborhood to be able to bring properties to our business, right? Because his last name was just, everybody knows him, and everybody just with that. But of course, during that time, I think we got one property from that. However, he was reaping returns and all that stuff. But I put that in there, and I put this 95.5 technician in, because 95% of the business I was actually doing myself. And I'm talking wholesaling, rehabbing, subject twos, you name it. I actually was doing that myself. And 5% of the time, he was on social media. Back then we had a Periscope. Some of you remember that. So we would always show our properties through Periscope and all, but he was actually becoming the face of the company, and people thought that he was the guy that was doing, but it was actually myself. So I put this book up here, The E-Myth. It's by Michael Gerber. If you have not read that book, it's a great book to read. It will really just for you, just once again, just tell you how, not how you should be, but in business, because even though we're in business right now, most of us think, oh, we're in business, I work for myself, but only 1% of people are actually entrepreneurs. So until you can get to the point where you're not actually working in the business and you're working on the business, you need to read that book. And I also put this other book up here, Traction. And I told this gentleman, I said, hey, I need you to read this book. However, he didn't read it. If he would have read this book, he would have knew that I was getting ready to fire him, right? Because I gave him it's the blueprint of what you need to do in business. But this book right here, Gino Wickman, it's a great book because it talks about having people in the right seat, the whole 9 yards, setting up your rocks for every 90 days. It talks about everything that you can do in your business. So it's a great book. I don't make any money from it, but I just like to throw things out there that's going to help people in their business. So if you get a chance, you can get it on PDF actually free on just Google. You can get a PDF for free. So just Google that book, Traction by Gino Wickman. It's a great book. So I mentioned earlier that I did some speaking and some coaching nationally, and I did this and I stepped away from my business thinking that the other gentleman that I was in a partnership with was going to be able to take the reins and run with the business. However, that did not happen. I would go on a seminar where I had to teach and all, and I come back and the freaking property's in the same condition it was when I left, right? Mind you, I'm gone for 3 or 4 days, and this was over a year that this would happen. And so my business started doing this, right? We started taking a nosedive. So I was grateful that I got to do that and be experienced in doing that as a speaker, but it actually hurt my business. And so I had to step away from doing that. And then not to mention they wanted me to upsell, and I'm not that guy. So, but that actually just like I said, just almost tanked my business. It didn't completely go out of business, but it definitely hurt me to be able to, like I said, to go out and do that. The 8 questions should have been in, but I did dissolve the business. I mean, not the business, I dissolved the partnership. And one of the things that was beneficial and it was great for me was that I didn't have to share anything. And that's the key, is when you get into business, you need to make sure you're structured right. Kathy, do you do partnerships? Yes, no? Yeah, so Kathy says she do them. So if you are in a, right, Kathy?
Definitely, yes.
Yeah, so if you are in a partnership, or if you're thinking about getting in a partnership, definitely speak with Kathy, because you want to make sure that everything is done right. Mine was done wrong. I mucked it up bad, but the good thing is I didn't lose in the end, right? So I was able to dissolve that. I will tell you that, of course, that gentleman and I, we dissolved and we don't have a relationship. We haven't spoken since then. But I will tell you that in a partnership, normally the person that does the least amount is the one that's to hurt the most in the end, because you take away the meal ticket, right? So, like I said, if you're in a partnership, I'm not speaking bad about your partnership. This is just my experience. My experience. All right. So at the end, I this is me, right? Vet everyone and trust no one. That's my mantra now. Until I get to know the person, I'm just not gonna put a whole lot of faith into it. I really need to get to know the person and know who they are. There's people on here right now with like Kathy and Leslie and folks that I've known for quite a while. We can do deals together all day long. I wouldn't question it. So just make sure you know the folks that you're getting into a deal with, you trust them, because in the end, it could really hurt your business. And then these 8 questions here, that's on my next slide. All right, so Gino in his book, he talks a lot about this. And really what, for me, all these are great. But one of the things I think that hurt me really bad was number 7, was that I was out flipping properties and doing wholesale deals and all. And I had an office right off of Six Forks Road, and I sold it. Thank God I was able to sell that. You know, we would go into the office 2-3 days out of the week, but we didn't have a meeting. We didn't talk about marketing. We didn't have a plan. I didn't set up my rocks. I didn't talk about anything, right? We would just, once again, just fumbling through it and trying to find a way to grow our business. However, we just weren't doing things right. So, like I said, there's a lot of things out there for you. There's a lot of folks here in TRIA experiencing in TRIA. So take advantage of it. Network when you have the opportunity, because trust me, it's going to help you grow your business. It's going to help you. So I really applaud the folks that are on here tonight, 38 people. So definitely, like I said, it's going to help your business. Once again, get a grip on your business. I can't stress enough how important it is to, like I said, make sure that you're in the right folks. All right, so I put this at the end because this is mainly what you guys want to hear, right? So the other stuff I went through because I just think it's good. It's really educational to know like how other people, things they've been through and how they screw things up, right? But then how he was able to turn it around. And you'll see that on the next slide. But that's the key, is like you fall down, but you get back up, right? That is the key. Man. All right, so you'll see here, I got this split up between $20,000 deals and deals you can do zero out of pocket. So when I took a break after the partnership. I said, I'm gonna take a break for a while. But when I came back into it, the first thing I did a low level flip. And when I say low level flip, it was at that time, you surely can't do it now. But at that time, I could pick up a house for 60 grand over in Worthdale and put about 30 into it and sell it, right? But I just had a wholesale, they sent me a property over in Worthdale and I was like $200,000. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. But that's what I mean by a low level flip, is that I came back into it. I picked up a low level flip where I didn't have to have a lot of money. I could still get into that property with points and paying the points. And if I had to pay some closing costs, I could do that. And I could do that for under 20 grand. So that's not something you'll probably be able to do in this market. You might be able to go to Rocky Mount and do it. However, you got to be careful, but you could definitely go to these other markets and maybe do that, like Goldsboro. But you just got to be careful. You got to know like days on market, the right area, things are selling. So if you're going to go into other areas, try to find those type of flips. Just be careful, because it may bite you in the butt and it may become your first rental because you can't sell it. And so just be aware of that. I've been there, done that too. So gap lending. Gap lending, if you don't know what that is I got one of these going right now. I have a hard money lender that's loaning on a new construction deal that I'm doing. I got to bring $33,000 to the table. For those of you that have heard me before, I love to do 100% deals, like no money out of pocket, right? All OPA. So I have a lender that's bringing $33,000 to the table, and then we're going to close that deal, right? So 100% out of pocket, but that's a deal, and that's probably going to take place in March. So I got to send that over to you, Kathy. I've been derelict on doing that. But that's your gap lending. So you get a certain amount of money from the hard money lender, and you need some money for gap lending, for gap, and you can bring another lender in. Conversely, you can do the same thing yourself, right? So say if you have 20 grand and someone needs 20 grand as a gap, you could loan that 20 grand yourself and you can charge interest on that money, right? So you can do that yourself with gap lending. You can do that with 20 grand on some deals. Some people may not want to do it because you're coming in second or third position. So you have to be careful if you're going to do that. But you can do that with 20 grand yourself. Come in and do some gap funding for people. Subject to deals. I love these. I love subject to deals. You can do subject to deals. Basically get these properties under contract. And what I did, I'll tell you what I did. So I had a property in Durham. I got into contract. Lady lived in Greensboro. She called me. She was like, I can't deal with this freaking tenant anymore. She was like, whatever you do, just take it off my hands. I said, well, I have this structure that I do where I'll take over your property, mortgage stays in your name, and then I'll continue to pay the mortgage every month. She's like, where do I sign? Right? So with that subject to deal, what I did was I had to put 10 grand into that deal to get up to standards to be able to rent it out. Right? So I put 10 grand in, we're in the 20 grand. I put 10 grand in, I fixed it up, I planted it in that property. I kept it for 1 year. I put on the MLS, I sold that property. I made 25 grand off of it. Well, I put 10 into it, but you see the breakdown there. So, but you can do subject to deals. Like I said, it's another way to get in without really having any money out of pocket. You can probably pick some up that are in good condition. You don't have to put anything into it. Just depends. Owner finance deals. So same thing almost is subject to, right? Not same thing as subject to, but basically getting the owner to hold a note for you. So you can do those deals too, get the owner to hold a note for you, and you can flip that property. And if it's 20 grand to put into it, fine. If you need more, that's fine. But it's another way where you can get into deals without having to have a whole lot of money out of pocket, especially when you're starting out brand new. But it's another way, it's perfect way. I got some land right now that I'm trying to get a seller to basically owner finance to me while I go through the process in Durham, which is a freaking headache. But like I said, that's another way that you can do it, is to owner finance. And then of course, wholesaling. Those of you, of course, that are taking the wholesaling class, these are just some tools that you can definitely use. For those that are going to wholesale, of course, if you're wholesaling, you may spend, back then I was spending maybe $2 grand on marketing. It's a lot more now, but you can definitely market for less than $20,000 if you're wholesaling. I know some of you are probably out there doing that right now, but wholesaling is definitely another way. It's most folks that are new. It's typically how they come in and do their business. So while I was doing that first deal, I was also wholesaling at the same time, right? So I was doing like everything. But what I will tell you is that when I came into this and I was trying to do everything and I was really screwing up, what I learned from one of my mentors was pick 1 or 2 things and become really great at it instead of trying to do 5 or 6 or 7 different things. And that's where I was screwing up, was I was trying to do too much at one time. So I would implore you to like pick 1, 2 things and just be really good at it. I would implore you just pick one, right? And just be really good at it and then venture off and do something else. So if you're gonna do wholesaling, go all in with wholesaling. If you want to graduate and go to flipping properties, and do that. But just pick one thing and be really good at it. Out of pocket, equity deals. So I got one of these deals going right now. So with equity deals, for those of you that know, it's basically I have a lender that's going to come in, they're going to fund my deal 100%. I'm going to give them some equity. So whether it's 10%, 20%, I don't care. Well, I do care, but I don't want to give them 50. But I got a lender right now, I'm doing 10% equity, but he's funding 100% of the deal. So that's another way that you can get into like some of these deals. But of course, with finding that type of lender, you got to build a relationship. Actually, this lender came to me through a buddy that I have that's an NFL player. So that's how this lender came to me, and I talked and we developed a relationship, and his dad was in the military, I was in the military, and we just started from there. So that's how I grew that relationship. Another way is having a broker's license. This also helped me. I got I have my own like agency now, but one of the things I did was make sure I have a broker's license because I could also sell real estate. So it was another way to get in and make some money out of pocket, and I could take that money and funnel that money into my deals, right? So if you're not licensed, that's fine. A lot of folks say, is it a conflict? You know, whether if I'm going to flip properties, not flip, wholesale properties and become an agent, and I would tell you no. I've asked that question to the commission. So if you want to get a license, if you're going to do that, then definitely get out there and get your broker's license. Another way to make some money. Real estate brokers, driving for dollars, wholesalers, same thing. So with my deals, a lot of things that I do right now, I don't do any marketing. I don't market at all, right? I work with wholesalers, properties like I just drove in Holly Springs the other day. I found like 5 properties just driving, doing something else. So like I said, I don't spend money on any marketing. Some folks do, but wholesalers will call me with deals. So that's why I try to network. I try to find wholesalers. I get on their buyers list. And if it fits, then we'll try to buy it. All right. So JV wholesaling. What is this? So I have a gentleman that lives over in Southeast Raleigh. And what he does is he finds properties, but he doesn't have buyers. Guess who has buyers? Guess who knows folks? I do. So he'll get those deals. I'll evaluate them. What we'll do is I'll find a buyer. We'll 50-50. So the last one we did, I think we split. He got 45 and I got 45, and the seller got their money. And that's without me doing anything except for giving him a buyer, right? So I love doing that. I got another one I'm working with him right now. We've been on that one for 1 year. We had 20 people that had to sign. We just got our last signature last week. So probably gonna get that one closed. And the last thing is just freaking hustle, right? You got to get out there and you got to hustle. If you sit around and you don't do anything, then don't expect anything. So just get out there and hustle. Like I said, when my business tanked and I took some time off, but I knew that I had to get out there and get back in the game to be successful in this business. And like Andrew said, there's some other stuff that I'm doing too. Definitely looking actually into doing the storage unit. So I can't wait until Friday. I'm going to join that. But just get out there, just do it. And that's the only way you're going to be successful in this business. All right. So my current business posture, flips, value add. So the value adds, like I said, that's me adding square footage to the house. Of course, you got to know your neighborhood. You got to make sure that if you're going to do that, that the neighborhood supports it, right? You're not going to put an addition in a neighborhood that only you can sell a house for 120 and you put up a $50,000 addition. That doesn't make sense. New construction now, government contracting. So this is another leg of my business now that I'm doing. I've been getting some certifications to build with the government. So we're looking forward to that. Of course, we got a bid on contracts. There's bid on one last week over NC State, that little cow farm, whatever that pasture over there they got. So there's a USDA out there. So we just bid on that contract last week. So it's just another part. So it's another leg. So I got my general contractor's license because that first deal that I went into was a horrible deal. And so I got my general contractor's license because as you go through this, you're going to learn how to do certain things. And for me, it was just a natural trajectory just to get my general contractor's license, which is now going to serve me well with contracting with the federal government and also state government. So that's another part of my business that I'm doing now. And then limited GC client services, I will do that. When I put limited, it's limited, right? Basically, I pick and choose like just the property and the structure of it because it's got to fit for what I'm doing. I typically do not work with retail homeowners because they freaking will have 20 changeovers and I just can't deal with that. So I typically like to work with investors. They have the scope of work. They know what they want. We go in, we get it done, right? But like I said, that's not a big part of my business with the GC client services, just because I'm doing other things. And then lastly, I'm in a partnership, right? So you're probably saying, well, what the hell? This guy just said he was in a bad partnership, but who do you think my partner is? It's my wife, right? So that's my partner in this right now. So, but that's it. That's me, and that's my business. But I hope you got some value out of that because, like I said, you need to make sure that your business is set up properly if you're going to do a partnership. All right. Questions?
All right, y'all send us your questions for Lionel. Shoot them at him.
Yeah, that was great, Lionel. Thank you.
Absolutely.
No, I appreciate the beginning too, where you kind of spoke about all the bad things that happened that kind of brought forth why you would do everything differently when you start over. That was cool.
Oh, okay. I see some questions. How do you typically vet JV wholesalers?
How do you typically vet JV wholesalers?
Yeah, so with a JV wholesaler, there's not much that I really have to vet on that because they have the property, and I'm going to find the buyer. But we will have a contract. So I do have a contract agreement that I will have with them. But if they want me to find a buyer, I'll do that. The deal is it's typically going to be 50-50 if I bring a buyer to the table on a JV deal. But that's typically how I do those. It's just a matter of having a contract. It's nothing long term that I'm going to get a deal with a wholesaler.
So I'm sorry, I was reading the next question. So I'm sorry if you just said this. Do you have a short-term contract for each JV though? You do have something in writing, right?
Absolutely.
What's the best place to start to obtain a broker's license?
Yeah, so there are a lot of different, you got JY Monk, HPW, that's Howard Perry and Walston, Farmville, Morrissey. They also have, I like HPW. It's just, I've always taken my classes through them. So, but there's a lot of different schools here in the area. You just have to go in there and see which ones fit as far as for like time wise. Some do the weekend, some do in the evening, some do during the day. Just got to see which ones are going to fit your schedule. But there's quite a few of them out here in Raleigh.
Do you know any good courses to learn more about subject to and owner financing? Call me, Nate.
What'd you say?
Said, call me.
I was just getting ready to say TRIA.
Yeah, Tria is the best place for that. In fact, probably really the only place. Around. How do you protect yourself against defaults as a gap lender?
Actually, our attorney here could probably answer that question, but I mean, you're going to be on a deed of trust. Is that right, Kathy? They're
Yeah,
gonna
absolutely.
trust.
Absolutely. What would you do differently to find and better vet contractors than when you first started?
Probably just ask for recommendations and referrals. That's what I didn't do. But I will tell you that a lot of folks, they won't like give up their contractors. They don't want to give up their folks and tie them up with other properties. But you just got to ask around. That's just the best way. And like I got a project I'm doing for one investor out in Franklinton right now, and they've had a lot of contractors, but those contractors come in and they want to give them like these crazy retail prices. So you just got to check the prices and all. Just ask for referrals and recommendations. If you're going to work with someone, just ask them, hey, I want to see your work. I want to see what you did. Give me some referrals of folks that you've done some work for. But that's the best way besides asking around in TRIA.
Hey, Lionel, I have a question for you. So that first disaster deal, what was, when you originally were looking for your first property, what was your criteria? And then now knowing what you know, what should it have been?
Yeah, so the thing about it was I didn't have a criteria because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I just wanted to get like my first property. So the thing what folks got to be careful of is that you want to get out there and get your first property right away, and then you step in a bunch of cow patties, right? So it's just being careful of just knowing and getting the education. So like I said, here in TRIA, offers a lot of education, but I had no clue of what I was looking for. But now I will tell you, I'm really like, I have a certain type of property that I like. Those that I can do value adds to, but it just, like I said, it just depends on location and where I want to put those properties.
What's the best way to connect or build a relationship with local wholesalers when you're out of state, but will be moving to North Carolina in March? Tria?
Yeah, so same thing, TRIA. Right now we have, I think it's, which one is it? Which one do we do the networking on?
Triangle Real Estate Investors Association Networking Group.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mean on Facebook?
No, I thought we have a,
Yeah, we have a meeting now. What?
Oh,
it's
we have a
the-
meeting now.
The second, what date? What's the date, Les?
It's the second Tuesday of each month. It used to be what was known as TRIA North, and for now, we're just going to make that a straight networking meeting so everybody can hop on and just make some connections. Because obviously, when we're doing the subgroup meetings like in this format, where we're trying to give you some education and stuff like that, there's really no chance for, well, yeah, I mean, you can talk to each other in the, I don't know if you can talk to each other in the chat, but shoot your questions out there. But yeah, join us on the networking meeting is the second Tuesday of every month.
absolutely.
What is good language to include in a contractor contract?
Send me an email. I'll give you a contract. I'll hook you up.
Do you think a flipper would be open to their gap lender coming to the project to watch the process?
I mean, just depends. Most gap lenders, they don't really, most lenders don't really care about going to a project, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, if it were me, I wouldn't mind if they want to come, but it's just depends on that person that's flipping the property. I mean, it's, once again, what you got to realize too is it's actually not your property, right? So I mean, they're entitled to come, so they're on the deed of trust.
Yep. Besides your partner, what is your core team of professionals that you work with?
Or team of professionals. So of course, have an attorney, CPA. Who else do I have? I got someone in Vegas too. So with my company, I'm a foreign company actually to North Carolina because I'm structured in Nevada. So just having folks like that too. So, you know, you got, like I said, you got your typical attorneys and all, and then other folks, you know, contractors and folks like that, and also vendors is another. But those are my
Lionel, someone's putting their email in the chat for you to send the contract to, so make sure and check that out. I moved back to Raleigh. I moved to Raleigh back in May from Chicago. I just got my broker's license to build capital to invest with. Any advice on how to best market myself as an investor and agent?
Yeah, so this is what I will tell you. I'm not sure if you with the firm or not, but a lot of firms will not allow you to market yourself as an investor. So just know that, especially if you're going to wholesale. Most firms, they frown upon that, but like I said, most firms will not allow you to do that. Like my firm, we're all investors, so I don't have a problem with it. But just know that that's typically not gonna happen. And then for those of you, I put my email in there because I can't like keep up with the emails and email you guys. So just email me at my email address.
You mentioned that you often drive around to look for deals. Do you ever do ride-alongs with any novices?
I don't, because when I'm out, I'm typically just driving around. I don't like actively go out and look for properties. I just know of a certain area. Like right now, like I said, in Holly Springs, I just happened to get this deal that I think I told Kathy about. I wanted to close it for me, but the owner died during the process. So now we're in the court proceedings. But while I was doing that and while I was out the property, I noticed like 5 other properties. So typically I'm not like out driving, but when I'm going places, I'm always looking. But I don't just like schedule, say, hey, let me go out and look for a property.
I'm looking for properties when I'm going to the grocery store,
Yeah,
people.
that's what I was gonna
Wherever
say.
you drive, always be looking for signs of neglect, signs of
Oh, it-
vacancy.
Come on, man.
You know, maybe a house that looks severely abused. And if you look it up in the tax records and the property owner's mailing address is different than the address of the
So-
house, it means it's probably a landlord. And they may not be aware of the fact that their tenants are kicking the crap out of their
They
house.
got them on sale. Oysters on sale.
So I went
Just running there real
to
quick.
Wilmington this past weekend, for my niece's birthday party, and me and my sister went out and spent the whole morning for looking at property. You just do it wherever you go. You get an eye for it. And I don't know, Lionel, I'm sure this has happened to you. I've done rehabs in a particular place, and if you're friendly, the neighbors will come around and talk to you. And I've had, people in the neighborhood comes to offer me their house before. And so it's like, once you start getting out there, that kind of thing will start happening. Do you find that happens to you, Lionel?
Absolutely. And just that same example of the ones in Holly Springs, like I literally just typed up a letter today. Like I haven't typed up a letter in years to send to a seller, but today I just typed up a letter. I said, I can't get this guy on the phone, right? So I'm typed up a letter and I'm mailing a letter to Las Vegas because that's where he lives now. So I'm sending a letter out there. So like I said, I haven't typed a letter in years, but I had to go back through my files and get a letter to send out to this guy. Like that's my first marketing piece in God knows how long.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah.
The subject.
Right now, we all need to be maybe reaching deep into the tool belt to find what things to get.
Seriously.
Yeah.
The subject who I'm doing right now came to me through my HVAC salesperson on a house I did almost 2 years ago. She phoned me and said, do you remember me? I did your HVAC for you. My husband and I are in a bind with a house. Can you help us out? Because she remembered that's what I did.
Just always treat people right, network, be friendly to your HVAC
And
contractor.
talk about yourself.
Yeah, tell them what you do. I always like
Yeah.
Cheryl Gleason, the subgroup leader for Fayetteville. She tells a story. I think it was Cheryl. Like she was, doing some rehab work, and she's in line. She had stopped at Lowe's or something, and she's all splattered in paint or whatever store she was at. And people start asking her, and she tells them what she does, and she ended up getting clients that way. So it's just, if you're a real estate investor, you want to always be a real estate investor, no matter where you go, because not only will you find opportunities for houses, or tenants or buyers or sellers, you will find money. You'll be surprised if you start talking to people about what you do. The people who don't realize the opportunities, what they can do with their money that's making, 0.004% in their savings account right now. You will find people who will be interested in what you do and will offer to lend you money. I promise you, if you talk about it enough to the right people.
There is so much money out there, so much.
Do you know anyone who needs a gap lender?
Yeah, you probably find plenty of folks. I don't know anyone offhand right now that needs it, but folks on here, I'm pretty sure if they need it, they'll probably reach out to you.
You
Nate,
need to get on the networking page.
Yeah, come to the networking meeting, and certainly when we network
Facebook page.
live, people flock to the lenders. So,
Yep.
but definitely come to a networking meeting, go into the hard money loan group, and you probably find takers. Last question, are you investing in commercial properties?
So my last commercial property that I invested in was the office that I bought. I had to put a little bit of money into it. But my next thing I mentioned earlier was that I'm looking at doing a storage unit, but not like Leslie had mentioned, a lot of folks are doing the new, but I'm actually looking at securing space to do climate control. I just want to do 100% climate control, and I want like nothing but dirt or gravel rocks, because I want to rent out just the space outside. There's a need for that. So that's what I'm looking at doing right now. Being able to get into some of that and see if that's I know it's gonna work, but that's my next place where I'm going is in the storage units.
A lot of money there. Mhm.
All right, Andrew, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, again, thanks a lot, Lionel. His contact is in the chat. So anyone that has any extra questions, feel free, I guess, to email him. Other than that, the Facebook group is where I think a lot of these questions will come up and people will answer. Yeah, thanks everyone. Have a good dinner. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey,
Don't
everyone.
forget, cash flow's up on the website. Sign up, sign up, sign up.
And
Come
by the
on, because I
way-
want to kick everybody's butt.
By the way, the Unbus tour is sold out.
Yay! That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
That's gonna be
Wait.
fun.
By the way, Leslie and I both have a house on the tour. Wait, do you too, Lionel?
I don't think so, but I
Yep.
think I'm gonna be at one of the houses, I believe. I don't know.
All right, you're going to be a tour.
He's gonna be a host, but yeah.
You're going to be a host. Leslie's property. If you guys are following, I haven't announced this yet, so you're the first ones to know. If you follow To Rehab Tuesday on Facebook, which is our little new series we do only on Facebook, where we follow two rehabs, one really complicated, talking about changing the whole floor plan, and one really quick fix and flip. The secret is that those are the big complicated one is Leslie's and the little quick one is mine. And nobody knows that yet except y'all. And they're both going to be on the tour. So if you're signed up, we look forward to seeing you. If not, check out the Facebook page for videos and photos after.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Andrew.
everybody. Stay safe.
I want to leave.
Good night, everyone.